Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Crystal, just in case you are new here, and today I have some cozy winter reads recommendations for you guys. Winter is my favorite time to read because I just have so much more free time on my hands, and it just gives me more of a atmospheric type of setting, whether it's sitting in front of the fireplace reading or in front of the Christmas tree, or even just with a candle lit in my bedroom. I just find myself having more time because I don't want to go outside. It's cold. In the summertime it's very hard for me to read because I'm just constantly trying to make plans and do things and be outside all the time. So I have a lot of cozy winter reads here for you guys that I love, and some that I actually haven't read yet but I just know will be new favorites. So let's just get into the recommendations. So I'm not really going to go in any particular order. I do have some like favorite authors here that I recommend everything from them, but I'm going to start off with The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. Now this book is inspired by Russian folklore, Slavic folklore, and in case you didn't know, my grandmother is from Slovakia, and I'm just so happy that there's a book out there that is based on Slovakian folklore and certain things that I grew up with that is in this book. So it's really nice to read this. Also, this takes place in such a winter wonderland setting. It's just snow constantly, and this is about Vasilisa and her siblings listen to, I guess, their housekeeper telling them these fairy tales, these folk stories about the Russian wilderness, and they live in the Russian wilderness. There's snow, they can't leave their house, it's hard to find food, and they end up losing their mother, so there's that, and their father ends up remarrying this evil person, and Vasilisa ends up with these like powers, and she is basically like called upon to fight these like evil forces. So that's basically what this book is about. But like I said, it is a trilogy. It does take place in the Russian wilderness. There's a lot of snow, and you could actually like feel the cold in your bones when you're reading this book. I have not read the second one yet. I'm really looking forward to reading the second one, and I can't wait to finish this trilogy because I love it and I hold it so near and dear to my heart. Next trilogy that I have to recommend to you is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Now, Deborah Harkness is actually a historian. A lot of the research that went into this novel is just, well, this series is just so amazing, and I feel like I'm reading a true story. Deborah Harkness is such an amazing writer. So this book takes place at Oxford University at the Bodleian Library, and our main character is a descendant of Bridget Bishop, who was a witch who was hung during the Salem witch trials and accused of witchcraft. Now our main character, Diana, comes across this manuscript, and it seems like other evil creatures are after the same manuscript, and she comes to find out a lot about her family history and witchcraft and all that stuff. Also, she falls in love with a vampire, so there's a lot of that going on, and I just love it. The second book involves time travel, which I love time travel, Shadow of Night, so I'm working on getting myself into the third and final book of this trilogy, but I really love this series. It is an adult, like, magical realism fantasy series, but I just really love this series. And you know me, I love any books about witches and magic and all of that fun stuff. So definitely check it out if this sounds like something that you will enjoy. A lot of people look past it because it seems kind of daunting and it's rather long, but it goes by pretty quickly because the writing is just so beautiful and easy to get through. Next, I have another favorite author's book, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This book is so much fun. This is about a group of misfits, kind of, and they perform a heist, and it's just following them through this heist. There's like drugs involved. It's just so crazy, and it's so thrilling, and it's so much fun. And our main character, Kaz, he is a huge he is probably one of my favorite characters ever written. I just had so much fun reading this book, and it's actually a duology, so there's Crooked Kingdom also that follows up with this book. I highly recommend it. It's so much fun. If you haven't read anything from Leigh Bardugo, I definitely recommend starting with this one because it's just such a fun book, and it's about a heist. Can't go wrong with that. Also, another Leigh Bardugo book that I have to recommend to you is Shadow and Bone. Ooh, this is a trilogy. This is such a gorgeous copy too that I just recently got. This is the collector's edition. I got it from Barnes & Noble. It's just so beautiful, but this is one of my favorite trilogies, one of my favorite fantasy series out there right now. This is the series that made me fall in love with Leigh Bardugo's writing and made her my favorite author, one of my favorite authors. I highly recommend this series if you're looking for a winter cozy fantasy series. This one also does take place in Russia, so you do have all of the wintry feels throughout this entire series. I just absolutely love it, and I can't wait to revisit it, and I'm hoping to do a reread, so if anyone is interested in reading this trilogy along with me, I'm thinking about starting up a Discord group so we could read this together in the winter. The next I have here, The Starless C by Erin Morgenstern. I read this gorgeous book last December, I believe, and I fell in love with this story. It's about a magical library. There is traveling to other realms. At one point I'm just like, what is going on here? What am I reading? This is just, it's such beautiful writing. It's very atmospheric, but if you're really plot driven when it comes up to reading stories, you might get a little lost in this and not feel like it's a great story, but I just absolutely love the atmosphere of this book. Erin Morgenstern really knows how to write a atmosphere, and our main character is just so lovable in here. Our main character, Zachary, is in his school library and he comes across this book, and basically this book transports him to other worlds, and he kind of has to put things together and solve the mystery of the book, and it takes him to just all different places, and it's just so much fun and beautiful, and it reads so much like a fairy tale, and that's what I love so much about this. So highly recommend this. It's such a cozy book to curl up with a nice cup of tea and lighting your favorite candle. Then next I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I just finished this book. I cried my eyes out. I love this book. This is my favorite book of the year. This was so amazing, and I have no words. I have no words. I'm obsessed. V.E. Schwab has been a longtime favorite author of mine. I have read majority of her books, and I just love her writing, especially in this one. This book took her 10 years to write, and I'm so floored. It was so beautiful. It is a piece of work. This is a modern day classic, hands down. I hope it wins all the awards because it was so beautiful. The writing was gorgeous, and not for nothing, Addie LaRue was such a beautiful character to read about, along with Henry. I loved his character as well. So basically, this story is about a girl back in the 1700s where she was about to get married off and decided this is not the life that she wants. She wants to travel. She wants to be free. And she comes across a demon who basically tells her to sell her soul to him and she could live forever. And she does. And in 300 years, she has lived life. And there are flashbacks here throughout the years of her living and all of the things that she went through. The only problem is that the deal that she made with this demon, that she could live forever, but anyone she meets will forget her. So she lives this lonely life as basically a ghost through history, and it's so beautiful. And then she comes across somebody who recognizes her. goes to, this isn't really a spoiler, but kinda, she goes to a bookstore, she decides she wants to read something, but she doesn't have any money because she can't have a job, so she decides to steal the book. But this would always work for her in the past, so she steals it and comes back the next day to return it, and the guy behind the counter goes, "Hey, wait a minute, you stole that from me yesterday. I remember you. How dare you do that?" And that's how the story kind of takes off. It was so amazing, so good. So this is a great book to cozy up with during the winter time. I definitely highly suggest it as a wonderful, wonderful winter read. So if the frame looks different, my camera decided to die, so I had to put a new battery in. So I might look like I moved around a little bit, but I didn't. It just, camera died. Some other cozy winter reads that I do have for you is a classic, and that is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This is a story that I love to revisit every year in December. It is such a great gothic Christmas story. Now, if you're someone who likes to read gothic, romance, or any of the classics, this is one that you should definitely read. It's not like a fluffy Christmas romance at all. This is definitely like a gothic story. There's the three ghosts of Christmas that come and visit Ebenezer Scrooge because he is not a nice person and doesn't know how to treat his employees correctly, nor does he care about Christmas. And this story just takes him through the motions to show him like what really matters in life, and it's really just a beautiful, beautiful story. So I highly recommend picking this up during Christmas. And this is the Barnes & Noble like soft bound, like fake leather editions. It's so beautiful. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to rereading this holiday season. Next I have here a mystery, and that is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This is a great cozy mystery to read by the fire. It is so much fun. Our main character jumps from like body to body until he could figure out who murdered Evelyn Hardcastle. It's a really interesting concept of a mystery. Also, I want to say it's like historical fiction as well. It's fun. It has a little bit of a fantasy element to it as well. So I highly recommend checking this out. Stuart Turton just came out with a new novel as well. I want to say his books are like mystery with like a little dash of like supernatural something going on. So this is definitely a fun book to pick up. And it's super cozy as well. And even though it's super thick, it's actually really easy to get through. I have here another classic, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Now, this story is a classic. It's a beautiful classic, and there are scenes that take place on Christmas here and in the winter, and I feel like this is just a cozy classic to curl up with to read during the winter season. So I highly recommend this. And also, I haven't read this in many, many years, probably at least a decade. So I'm going to be picking this up in December, and I can't wait to revisit these four sisters and kind of just feel a nostalgic moment, if you know what I mean. The next, I have another series that I'd like to recommend to you, and that is the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy by Victoria Schwab, V.E. Schwab. This is her like high fantasy novel. It takes place over 3 consecutive Londons, and our main character jumps from London to London. So it's really, really cool. The parallel dimensions and also like the political intrigue that exists in each parallel London and how they're at war with each other. And the magic system is really cool in here. If you've heard of this fantasy series, do yourself a favor and check it out. It's so much fun, and it's a great, great winter read. It's super atmospheric, and if you like books that take place in London or in the UK and you have that like dark, like damp atmosphere, that's what this story gives off, and I just really enjoyed this. I miss these characters. I have yet to finish the 3rd book because I just don't want this series to end. I'm hoping to pick it up this winter. The next series I have to recommend is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I can't go on without talking about this series. I don't talk about the series much on my channel because it's a guilty pleasure of mine, but I absolutely love this series, and it's just a great one to pick up, to cozy up with during the winter time. Yeah, and these new paperbacks are just so gorgeous. I picked up the first, second, and third book recently in paperback because they're so pretty, and they're definitely adult. I know they were printed as YA, but they're 100% like an adult fiction. There's a lot of adult content in this series. And I just love Sarah J. Maas's writing, by the way, but there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Then next I have here a book that I just recently picked up. I have not read this yet, and that is Sherlock Holmes and the Christmas Demon. I saw this at Barnes & Noble, and I just thought it was a really cool cover, and also it's a Sherlock Holmes mystery, and it has to do with a demon that like someone gets like possessed by. I thought that was a really cool concept. It says here it is 1890, and in the days before Christmas, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson are visited at Baker Street by a new client, Eve Allerthorpe, eldest daughter of a grand but somewhat eccentric Yorkshire-based dynasty, is greatly distressed as she believes she is being haunted by a demonic Christmas spirit. The late mother told her terrifying tales of the sinister Black Thuric, and Eve is sure that she has seen the creature from her bedroom window. What is more, she has begun to receive mysterious parcels of birch twigs, the Black Thuric's calling card. Eve stands to inherit a fortune if she is sound in mind, but it seems that something or someone is threatening her sanity. Holmes and Watson travel to the Allerthorpe family seat at Fellsgar Keep to investigate, but soon discover that there is more to the case than at first appeared. There is another spirit haunting the family, and when a member of the household is found dead, the companions realize that no one is beyond suspicion. Now, this is not written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, right? Did I say that right? This is written by James Lovegrove, so this is someone else's take on Sherlock Holmes. So I'm sure it will be an easy, fun mystery read, and I can't wait to revisit Sherlock Holmes and Watson in a new modernized tale, in new modernized writing, and just to see how this new author writes Sherlock Holmes and Watson. It sounds like a cozy Christmas time read, and I highly recommend it. Although I haven't read it yet, I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy it. Finally, I have here a middle grade, and that is Wildwood, and this is by Colin Malloy and illustrated by Carson Ellis. This I picked up recently, and I just thought it was so beautiful. It looks like the perfect winter book, and it is a like Narnia inspired fantasy, so it is a middle grade, and our characters go through like the Wildwood, and they end up being transported to like other worlds like Narnia, looking for, which I'll read you the back. Prue McKeel's life is ordinary, that is, until her brother is abducted by a murder of crows and taken to the impassable wilderness, a dense tangled forest on the edge of Portland. No one's ever gone in, or at least returned to tell of it. So begins an adventure that will take Prue and her friend Curtis deep into the impassable wilderness. There they uncover a secret world in the midst of violent upheaval, a world full of warring creatures, peaceable mystics, and powerful figures with the darkest intentions. And what begins as a rescue mission becomes something much greater as the two friends find themselves entwined in a struggle for the very freedom of this wilderness, a wilderness the locals called Wildwood. So I picked this up. I'm in the mood for middle grade. Yeah, so I'm excited to pick this up and read it, and I'll let you guys know what I think. That is it. That's all I have for you guys today. Of course, I can go on and on with winter recommendations because I just love reading in the winter, and there are so many winter books out there, but those are the ones that I have offhand that I really enjoyed, or ones that I know I'm going to enjoy. So if you guys have read any of these books, if you are going to read any of these books through my recommendations, please just comment down below and let me know. If you like this video and you want to see more videos from me, please just make sure you like and subscribe down below, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!